HealthConnect. My name is Kareem Kanji. Thank you so much for joining us. As many of you know, we are in the midst of our study on health and technology. If you would like to follow us, just go to xconnectto.com and check out all the content. And we welcome you to our panel on October the 24th at 221 Yonge Street. Just go to healthconnect.eventbrite.com. Today I'm very excited to bring to you a conversation with Hadi Salah. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
No worries. People are wondering, why is Hadi Salah on? So why don't you tell everybody what it is that you do?
Sure. I work at Mars Discovery District. And what we do at Mars is help take ideas and make them into businesses. Mm-hmm. That's great because it's innovative, it creates jobs, it's great for the economy. And what we do at Mars, how we create businesses is we provide advisory services, we provide education, we provide market research. Mm-hmm. We also have a lot of connections that we can leverage for our clients, including access to investors, angels. We also manage a fund for the government, the Investment Accelerator Fund.
Okay.
So my role at Mars is basically I am an investment manager with the Investment Accelerator Fund. I'm also an industry analyst in the life sciences and healthcare practice at Mars.
Fantastic. Which is why you're here specific to that.
Right, exactly. So I have expertise in the investment space as well as I know what's going on in the market and how it's shaping up to be. So
let me ask you on that. As the industry analyst for life sciences and healthcare, how has 2012 been? How has this past 12 years in Ontario been as it pertains to both technology, innovation, and specific to health sciences?
I'm a bit biased. I'm very positive, optimistic about the space. A lot of things are happening in all types of technology-based industries. Mm-hmm. In healthcare and life sciences, a lot of things are happening in health IT. Okay. More so than the medical devices in the therapeutic space, which is, I believe, is stagnant at this stage. Mm-hmm. However, health IT is doing fantastic. One very famous accelerator that's based out of San Francisco is Rock Health.
Rock Health.
Have you heard of them?
No, I haven't.
They're an incubator for health IT companies. Okay. And it does very well, and they release reports and publishes statistics about the space. I did write about their reports recently on one of my blogs, which is available on marsdd.com. Yeah. They talked about the industry as a whole and the investment from an investment point of view, and they were talking about how in 2011 there was about $1 billion invested in health IT. However, in 2012, by mid-year, we were surpassing about $700 million. So
ahead of the game.
Yeah.
So when we talk about health IT, Heidi, is that everything to do with technology and health? Does it include CT scan machines and things of that, or are we talking about, what specifically are we talking about?
Sure. So health IT, when people think health IT, they think electronic health records, which is valid. Sure. That is one aspect of health IT. But health IT also includes things like chronic disease management, things like patient-provider communications, communities and networks, online, mobile, wireless. It can include a hardware component, but it doesn't have to. It could be only software. Okay.
How has, so halfway through this year we're at 700 plus million. Do you know where we are today?
No, but I think we're trending to surpass last year. I think we're growing between 20 to 50% according to some estimates. Okay. In terms of investments in the space. I know we're seeing more deals, more companies coming to the Investment Accelerator Fund, looking for funding. We have invested in a few, and we're seeing more companies coming and dealing with health IT related issues.
I'm wondering if you can talk about some of these companies, recent ones or maybe even more established ones that have gone through Mars as it pertains to life sciences. What are some of the more interesting companies and people that have come through that you're working with presently?
Sure. There are tons of great companies at Mars and other regional innovation centers across Ontario. So we do see clients from Toronto as well as other parts of Ontario. Yeah. At Mars, we have tons of companies. A couple of examples include bedside clinical systems. They are developing a unique software that helps physicians and healthcare workers make decisions. So it takes a lot of data using algorithms that's developed by the company. They can shoot out ratings that the doctors can use, new data that the doctor can use to influence their action, how they will treat a patient. One investment we made recently that we announced was with Therapeutic Monitoring System.
Okay.
That company also develops software for to help also clinicians in the ER make critical decisions on how to treat patients as well. But like I said, we see all kinds of companies in the health IT space, including a few that are targeting children with autism. They're developing a software program that allows these children to communicate better using pictures and words, and using it's highly customizable. Whereas in the past, these children had pictures to work with on pieces of paper. So a lot of innovation happening in that space.
Do you find that I'm curious where this innovation is happening in terms of, is it coming from pharma? Is it coming from the hospitals themselves? Is it coming from entrepreneurs that might be on maybe their second or third startup, or is it coming from people that are just getting into the industry? I'm very curious where you see a lot of this innovation happening, because it sounds to me that it would take a lot of money, a lot of capital to do this, and it wouldn't be something that some guy just coming out of engineering school is looking to tackle. So I'm very curious on where you see this innovation coming from.
Sure. What's fascinating about the space, I think, is there are many stakeholders. Okay. Everyone has a stake in what's happening, including pharma. You wouldn't think pharma would be interested in the space, but they are, because there are apps out there that helps patients adhere to drug therapies better. I know the FDA is looking at regulating some of those apps as well. So the pharma companies are involved in that. We're seeing a lot of hospitals also taking an active role. I know the UHN, for example, has a center dedicated to e-health innovations, and it's a center for e-health innovations at the Toronto General Hospitals. I think one of the latest product is they've developed a mobile app that can help diabetics track their state, their drug adherence, their insulin injections. So that's out in the App Store currently, and then they're adding a hardware component to that in the future. It's currently going through FDA approvals. So the hospitals themselves are interested in making people healthier. They're also looking for ways to save costs, and that's very important in Ontario. Obviously, we're all stretched when it comes to budgets. So they're actively seeking solutions to some of the problems out there, and trying to reduce costs, improve patient care. If a lot of processes at a hospital, if you think about it, when you go to the ER, you're filling out forms manually.
That's right.
So a lot of those forms, they're not playing well with electronic health records. Things get lost in the way. I think in 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we're not going to have those papers.
We shouldn't be there.
No.
Even today, we shouldn't be there. I mean, recently, I don't know how many months ago, went into emergency, and you go in and you write your name on the board, and then they take you in order.
Right.
And I noticed that people who came after were going before. I said, hey, I wrote my name down on the list, and because that piece of paper got thrown out,
right?
So it's like, guys, there must be a way, to automate all these things, to have all this data saved.
Right. So it's not only a frustration; it can be very, very dangerous as well. And when you ask a patient coming into the ER, are you allergic to this? Are you allergic to that? They're not in a state of mind to tell you all these things. They can miss a small detail that might be very important down the line when a doctor is giving out a drug. Whereas if everything is electronic and connected, then the healthcare provider has the whole picture right in front of them.
What do you see as some of the challenges on why this isn't in place? Why isn't there a central database? Maybe this is what eHealth is supposed to be doing here in Ontario. But why today are these processes not in place?
There are a lot of challenges in implementing a lot of health IT innovations. That includes privacy, it includes different hospitals having different requirements that are best met by different vendors, for example. Sometimes those vendors don't talk to each other. The software systems are not talking to each other because they're made by different people. So we're working on a lot of those challenges, and I think in the future those will be solved.
And is this something that e-health, when people hear about e-health, they hear about $1 billion being thrown down the drain. Because most people get their information obviously from the news, and a lot of people. I think the people that are watching this are more informed on what's going on, but most people, they think e-health, $1 billion mistake. What is it that e-health was supposed to solve? Was it supposed to help this, or was it something?
Of course. The mandate, I believe, the mandate for e-health was to set regulations and standards that vendors can utilize to develop their own systems that the government is okay with. It's not my position. It's not my place to say whether $1 billion is enough or we need more. Obviously, there's a lot of challenges, like I said, and healthcare data is complicated. It's very complex stuff. It requires supercomputers to analyze it. There's so many different variables involved that it is complicated, and it does take time to solve.
Yeah, you talked about various tools that you've seen through Mars, helping doctors and physicians and healthcare workers make better decisions. So getting them information, whether it's about the patient that they're seeing, or whether it's about a certain symptom or disease, and what that means in relation to their patient. You talk about University Health Network developing various apps. Where does social media come into this? Is social media still something that is so new that we're still unsure about it? There's all this talk about privacy issues, just with people posting stuff on Facebook. Does that conversation stop because of that? I'm curious where you see, in your position, the role of social media tools and processes in healthcare.
It's a very good question. I think there is a role for social media in all of this. If you think about the whole healthcare ecosystem, there are multiple silos that don't really interact well together. You have the doctors, you have the patient groups, you have the taxpayer who's providing, ultimately providing these the cash to run the system. Everyone has their own mandate. Everyone has their own goals, and sometimes it's very hard for a doctor to communicate with the patient to communicate with the insurance providers. So I think social media and networks can allow easier communication between the various groups involved. We're trying to bridge the gap at Mars as well. I mean, in the summer we held a major conference where we brought very different stakeholders that otherwise wouldn't talk to each other. We put them in the same room. It was the Healthcare Innovation Forum is what we called it. So we brought some hospital CXOs, we brought patient groups, we brought solution providers. These are the startups, the innovators that are trying to solve these, trying to solve some of the problems out there. We put them in the same room, allowed them to brainstorm, talk about problems, talk about ideas and solutions. Social media was a part of that. There were solution providers that develop networks, for health-related issues, where patients can log in, register, talk to other patients like themselves, talk to their care providers, seek advice about how to better take care of themselves. We followed that up actually with a social network, which we call the Health Innovation Network. And in that network, we have, again, multiple stakeholders. We're trying to get them all in the same network, talking to each other. So the solution providers, the healthcare providers that seek these solutions, all in the same network, talking to each other, and then trying to solve problems that way.
Fantastic. Have you seen anything come out of that? I'm very curious.
It just started. It's about a month in. I think we started off with about 50 members. I think we're over 300 currently.
Fantastic.
It might be a bit more. We're just actually we're going to be announcing a few things about that network very soon.
That's awesome. I'm very curious on how that works. That'd be very interesting,
right?
To see, because it almost seems obvious,
right?
You know, if you can communicate with family members and friends overseas, and you're able to share documents and all of these things, is that, wow, imagine if this industry, that industry, and you know, today talking about health, imagine if we were able to execute this in the health, and how much time would be saved, how much money would be saved, how much better care we'd be able to provide people.
Ultimately, that's what the Mars Life Sciences and Healthcare team wanted to accomplish with this: improve healthcare overall, improve patient care, improve the likely outcomes and the quality of life of patients.
Fantastic. Now you were talking about this event you recently had at Mars, the what did you call it again? The Health Innovation
Forum.
Yes. Any other events coming up? I know there's Hacking Health. Is there anything else that's coming up at Mars?
So we have a couple of things coming up at Mars. One of them is Hacking Health. Hacking Health is a natural progression of the Health Innovation Forum. In the forum, we had people sit together, brainstorm, and talk about ideas and potential solutions. The Hacking Health Hackathon is what we call it. That's coming up. Will basically try to implement some of those ideas that we talked about. What we do at a hackathon is we bring doctors in. They're going to pitch their problems, their ideas that they have based on their experience, based on their practices. They're going to pitch those problems to a room full of technology experts. Those are the programmers, the designers, the coders, and over a weekend, teams will form and they're going to try and create solutions over a weekend. It's going to be fantastic. I mean, it's unheard of. It's what this kind of event hasn't been. You know, it started in Montreal. We brought it to Toronto, and I think there's a lot of excitement about what can come out of it.
Especially, you know, focusing on health. There's hackathons that happen on a regular basis, but something that's focused on. You know, let's focus on health. And is there opportunities? I mean, can teams and groups win? Is there any awarding, any prizing, any opportunities for funding and growth? I'm very curious.
Certainly, yeah. So the Montreal event was designed with 40 people in mind. About 200 people showed up.
Wow.
Yes, and about 25 teams formed on the Friday. By the end of the weekend, there were 19 projects that completed a prototype, a beta, and about, I would say, 5 or 6 of them won certain different prizes. I believe a few of them are still ongoing currently. So they've developed a business around that weekend about the technology that they produce. We're hoping for better success in Toronto because we have the resources here. We have organizations like Mars that can take it to the next level. So we're aiming for 300 people. We're aiming for about 40 projects, and because of our advisor network, because of our mentors that exist in Toronto, we're hoping most of those projects will continue on and become businesses and making an impact in the future.
Excellent. And people can find out more information on Hacking Health at hackinghealth.ca, and that's taking place October 19th to the 21st, which is the weekend before HealthConnect.
Exactly.
So that's fantastic. And there's a lot of things going on here in the city, you know, in terms of health and technology. I think right now, up at the International Center, there's the IT Health Conference going on starting tomorrow. So it's very interesting. But Hadi, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it.
Not a problem.
If people are interested in what you are doing at Mars, where can they get more information from?
So marsdd.com is the best place to go.
Fantastic.
That will list all our events that are happening, including the Future of Medicine event that will happen later in November. Again, it's a thought leadership type event. A lot of stuff are happening at Mars, as well as our partners all across the city, as well as all across Ontario.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again for joining us.
Not a problem.
Really appreciate it. Again, thank you. Again, my name is Kareem Kanji. You can find me on Twitter at Kareem Kanji. And I hope to see many of you on October 24th at HealthConnect. You can register at healthconnect.eventbrite.com. Thank you for joining us, and have a great day.